Okay, we are starting now. Dun, 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 dun. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Be I Cry Every Day. Today we're gonna talk about the long-awaited childhood stories because they bring me joy when I talk about them and when I remember them. And these are only the good memories, so you know. The other stuff can be for another time or for never to be heard for therapy, really. But these are my fun little childhood stories that I wanted to to tell you guys and talk about because yeah, I was a strange kid and I'm sure we all were and and yeah, we all have different stories, and I feel like we don't really get to emerge ourselves. Not me trying to be like philosophical, ooh, but I feel like we don't really get to emerge in the world of being a child unless, I don't know. Like growing up, you really lose that childlike energy, and some people still have it, but for the most part, it's like, what am I even saying? I don't know. It's not as 100% pure imagination and just like, I don't know, just so naive and innocent and curious. Yeah. I feel like as an adult it really is like shaped and shifted and morphed. So it's not just like a free space, a free energy anymore. As much as you can be unserious these days, as much as the world is unserious these days, there is something just wonderful about um, the lifetime of a child, of being a child. And yeah, and now my brain is like morphing and is like, and that's why the lizard people are trying to feed off of these children and blah blah blah. But oh, this is what's tickling my face. But yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. But we're gonna talk about this. None of this is in any type of order. As much as I want to keep it in order, I was like trying to keep it in order, but then I remembered other things, and then that made me like laugh, giggle, kick my feet. Well, not really kick my feet, but just like, um, yeah. Let's start with the simple story of the time when I discovered what, or when I questioned, or when I don't, how do I say this? This is off to a wrong start. Okay, so this is called USA Socks. And I wrote USA Socks down because once upon a time, a long time ago, I'll say it, once upon a time, not long ago, but it was a long ago, I was in kindergarten and we were all sitting at the alphabet carpet thingy that we all know and love. And I was like somewhere towards the back of the class. And I forget what was happening, but I think it was my socks or some other person's socks. I think it was my socks though. And I forget which way I was sitting, but there was like USA written on like the back part of the ankle part of the socks. And I was just looking at it like I just like I guess was looking at the detail, and then I was like saying to myself like USA. And then a girl next to me, I think her name, well, can I say people's names on here? I don't know. Um, I don't know. Well, it's not important. But a classmate of mine was near me and she was like, "What did you say?" And I was like, "USA. That sounds so familiar." And me and her were like, "Yeah, USA. I wonder what that stands for." And every time when I think about it, I just think like, "Oh my god, that's so cute and so funny and so like because I just remember hearing it and I was like, I heard it somewhere before, but I don't know what it is and what does it mean and why is it on my sock. So yeah, that's that story done. Boop. On to the next. This brings me so much, like, being a kid was great sometimes. Oh, yes. This one is, I titled it Exercise Equipment Clubhouse Slumber Party. And honestly, immediately when I say that, I'm thinking like this should be a thing, especially for all the gym rats. I think that would be so fun. But okay. So boom. When I was little, I don't know if this was before. I think this was when we were in school at this point. But we were definitely like under the age of 10. Definitely under the age of like 8. And probably in like first grade, second grade. Me and my two little sisters, when we were at home and there was no school or it was a summertime, we were at home alone with our great grandmother, and she would watch us, but like watch us as in like she was the only adult in the house, and the only thing that she did constantly was just cleaning all the time, never stopping. Like that woman, she the only thing you see her do is stop to eat and then clean, and that's it. And she will come up again because she is basically the only adult that I remember raising me mostly. Um so yeah. So me and my little sisters, when everybody else was out of the house and we would play together, I don't know why, and it's probably because like, my mom was young, still in like, her younger 30s, later 30s. She was always buying like exercising machines and stuff, like a treadmill or like that the electric bike or whatever. And I forget what it's called, but it it I mean, it doesn't really matter. Well, it kind of I don't know, but you like put your foot on this thing. It's like, it's basically like this, like the shape of my arm. So this is like the handle up here, and then this is the stick, and then you put your foot down here, and then there's another one, and then you just kind of just swing your legs back and forth. She had that. Um yeah, and like a little like stepping machine, but it wasn't like actual steps. It was just like two pedals that would just go like that, and it was really small, nothing else, just like anyways. So when we I don't know why, what urged us to do this, but we did this often for some reason. Like we were just in a phase of just like, hey, let's bring all of our blankies, all of our covers down, and just drape them over the exercise equipments because they were just out in the living room taking up space with their machinery, and let's just use it and make it into like a clubhouse situation, and then we'll put the extra blankets and pillows and stuff and lay it on the machine, and we'll pretend that that is our bed. So we would turn off the living room lights and we would like drape over the situation, build the whole fort situation. Not really a fort, but just like a little bungalow situation, neighbor, and we would bring down the alarm clock and play the radio. And yeah, we would do that, and we would just be like pretend to sleep and just be like, oh hi neighbor, good night neighbor, and we would kind of just like lay there and chill. And whoever got that machine that was like swinging your legs, basically, you could just sit on it and just swing at the same time, so it was kind of like a bed that was moving. And then whoever got the treadmill probably had like, the better bed because it was just flat surface, and nothing really abrupting or like, your situation was not falling apart, and whoever got the electric bike, you know, had a weird situation but made it work. So yeah, um, there's that story, and I enjoy it. I think we would just like I think that was honestly like somewhat of our quiet time, which would probably last for like 30 minutes. And leading to that is B10. You guys probably can't see this. I wrote B101 FM radio because that was the radio station that we were listening to during this exercise equipment clubhouse summer party time. Wow, that is a mouthful. And B101, if you're listening, she's tried, she's true, and she's that girl. There's an inside joke that me and my little sister have that there's no one controlling. I mean, I feel like now with evidence that there are people still working at B101, but for the longest time we were like they play the same old songs over and over and over, and it feels like when you flick through the channels and then you go to that one point in the channel where it's just like you can tell it's old commercial. It's like the pixelation, the slight fuzziness. It's like not crystal clear anymore. It's giving that aesthetic, that filter, that vibe. And we were just like, is anyone still working at B101? It's just skeletons and cobwebs in there and dust. And yeah, that's how old it is. Like no one's changing up the radio to be like, okay, here are the actual real latest hits of 2020 whatever. They're just playing old songs from like the early 2000s, 2010s. And yeah, that's also when me and my little sisters discovered Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. And every time we heard that, we were like, well, this song is amazing. And yeah, and it is amazing. And Mariah is that girl. And that's on period. B101 probably is my favorite radio station. If I had to listen to the radio, it's B101. No questions. And not taking any opinions. That's my preference. And I'm sticking to it. Whether there's people in the studio or not. Yeah. Okay. Now, brace yourselves. You can click out of this if you want to. I'm sure many of you already have after like 3 minutes. And that's okay. I understand. I am crazy and I talk a lot about nothing. We are getting to the section of my childhood where, like all children, we are weird. And you thought, like, this was weird. But we're going to get really weird and we're going to get kind of disgusting for, people who are visualizing, who have that ability, to visualize these things. I'm sorry for what you're about to hear. It's not that bad. It's just like, ugh, kids. Kind of like when you are playing with a baby and the baby's either like constantly throwing up or constantly drooling and you're just like, ugh. It's that vibe. Except we're kids and we have a conscious enough brain to be like, do you realize this is what you're doing? And our answer is like, yeah. So bear with me. It's gonna be some things that are like not too bad, and then some things are gonna be like, ew, why did you do that? And the answer is, I don't know. I was a child. So the first one is not gonna be so bad. The first one is cheese gum. And it's not what you're thinking. It's actually innocent. Cheese gum is a thing that me and my little sister, made up when we were little. And we would just take slices of cheese whenever we were like craving a snack. And we would like fold the cheese into like long rectangular strips, almost like strips of gum. And instead of gum, we would have these long rectangular strips of sliced cheese, and we'd just hand them out to each other back and forth like, oh, do you want some cheese gum? Sure, I'll take some cheese gum. Do you want some cheese gum? Yeah, I'll take some cheese gum. This cheese gum is delicious. And that's cheese gum. No actual gum is involved in this recipe. It's just a slice of cheese cut into the shape of a strip of gum. Yeah. I haven't had gum in forever. Are they still doing that shape? Or is it all just like little, tiny little tab looking things? Or like pellets? Okay. Ugh. Just looking at it, I was debating on if I should like, if I should tell you guys about this story, but she is a part of my childhood and it's gonna be disgusting to you guys. It's disgusting in hindsight when I say it, but back then, and thinking about it now, I wouldn't do it now. But back then, it was, it was a time. Okay, I don't do this anymore. I'm totally somewhat normal. But yeah, this is ice cream soup. And whenever we had ice cream, me and my little sisters, well, yeah, me and my one little sister, not my baby sister because she was not a part of that. Yeah, I don't think she was ever a part. Was she a part of it? No, I don't think she was ever a part of it. But me and my little sister, we would have a bowl of ice cream, and sometimes when we would get close to the end of eating our ice cream, and at that point the ice cream's starting to melt at a little bit of a more faster rate, it becomes soupy. And to make our ice cream soup even more soupier, I can't believe I'm saying this. Don't look at me when I say this. Okay. To make our ice cream soup even more soupier, we would spit in it. Ooh. Don't look at me. I know. I was a child, okay? Don't judge me. We children, we do weird things. And I don't do that anymore. But anywho, um, yes, we did that. And yes, we would try each other's ice cream soup. Okay, I understand. You guys are gagging. I am trying my best not to gag either. But it's so I feel like we had to be the only ones that were doing this because I know other people would purposely melt their ice cream but not, add other liquids to it. If you did, we're in the same club. Um, you know, ice cream supers unite. But yeah, that's just I can't explain. I can't is it divulge in it? I don't know if I'm saying anything right. I can't explain any more behind that besides that was a part of my childhood and I did enjoy it. Thank you very much. Moving on. We're just gonna erase that for a second. Okay, this one is kind of like but also like it's not that disgusting. Okay, so this is Disgusting Lunch Lady. And you guessed it, I was the lunch lady. And the purpose of this role that I was playing as the disgusting lunch lady was that I think it was every time when when school was over in middle school, I think, I would walk over to my baby sister's kindergarten school and pick her up whenever my mom couldn't, and we'd walk home together. And when we get home and then we finish, like, we change out of our uniforms and back into our PJs or home clothes, and there would be food on the stove from our mom when she's like out running errands or at a doctor's appointment. And I was tall enough to reach the stove and whatever was on the stove to scoop and get her a bowl of food. So I would pretend I was the lunch lady, and I'd be like that lady from Monsters Inc. who was like, Mike Wazowski, I'm keeping my eyes on you. That was a bad impression. But I would like be in that character, in that voice, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. And I would just be like, today's lunch is maggots and I don't know, pellets or something. I don't know. And I would just like try to come up with the most disgusting combinations and disgusting things that are not like real food. And I don't know if my baby sister enjoyed it, but she was like just standing there with her bowl like, just get this done over with, thank you very much. This is not the food that we actually ate. I was just like coming up with different names and imagination that was really just rotten. So yeah, that was the role of disgusting lunch lady. It's very fun, actually. Enjoy those times. I might do that to my niece. Oh my goodness, this one is a good one. Mistaking my tooth for a diced onion. Okay, so back when we used to have family dinners, tears, but also like it's probably best that we don't have those anymore. Specifically my family. And that's another time for therapy, but not here. We would sometimes, when we didn't feel like cooking, we would order delivery or like get takeout. And one time we got McDonald's back when it was good. And I think I had like a regular like kids meal. I don't think it was a Happy Meal though. I think it was like a basic burger with like onions, cheese, ketchup, burger, a seedless bun. Call it a day. I'm a happy girl. And obviously, this is back when I was a little kid, and I'm in that phase where my teeth are falling out left and right. And I was eating my burger like a normal person, and I was chew, 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 and then all of a sudden, I felt like, that's weird, and I like tried to like filter it out, and then take out the piece that I just crunched on, and I see this like white square, and I was like, that's a hard onion. But then when I show my family and they're like sitting around like looking at it, also eating their food, and they're just like, why is it like that? And then my mom was like, let me see your mouth. And then she was like, oh, you lost a tooth. And I think it was like one of my teeth in the front or something like that. But yeah. And that's the story. And that's the story of when I mistaken my loose tooth for a diced onion. This marker is losing ink. I got green on my finger. Okay. This one is also a good one. Well, they're all good ones. Ratatouille Inspired is what I titled it. Ratatouille. I love that movie. Even though it has a lot of rats in it. But really, the metaphor and the motto was really truly inspiring. And I was like, period. Anyone can cook. And by anyone can cook, they mean me. And I am a child prodigy in the making. I could be a cook. I could be a restaurant owner. I think this movie was like the little like, hey, how about this idea? Maybe when you grow up, you can own a restaurant and cook all of your mother's food. And I thought, now that is an idea. That idea is no longer existing, but you never know. I watched Ratatouille on like a bootleg website like everyone does. And at this point, I feel like I was in middle school by then. We're not in any order at this point, but enough where I was able to access a bootleg website to watch Ratatouille. So yeah, we're in that range. After finishing Ratatouille, I was like, whoa. It took me to a place where I was like, I feel so inspired Like, I have to do something right now. And that something has to be food. So then me and my sisters, my little sisters, we went downstairs and we got some food because after watching a movie, we were definitely hungry. And we got some rice, and then my mom had some pan fried fish with like tomatoes, I think. And I was like, I'm gonna whip up something really crazy. So I put in a small bowl, I put the pan fried fish first, but I like didn't have it in the whole piece. I took out like the good meat part, and I had that on the bottom of the bowl. I had some of the tomato, and then I put a little bit of drizzling of some fish sauce situation, and then I packed on top of that a good amount of rice. And then I did the unthinkable. I took another plate, another bowl that was a little bit bigger, and I placed it on top of that small bowl. And you know what I did next? I flipped it over. I flipped it over on its whole head. I took the tiny bowl, the small bowl, off, and there we have a beautiful masterpiece, a dome of rice with fish and tomatoes on top, and the juices, the sauce of the fish sauce situation just like slowly trickling down, and it was good. Did I do any actual real cooking? No. But did I plate that? I did, and it was amazing. Visuals, the palate, everything, all of the senses. Yes. Ouch. I hit my arm. It is it's a science, it's a technique, it's a skill that not a lot of people can hone or master. So that's my ratatouille story. This one, I love this one. This is probably my favorite of all childhood story. And we are at close to the 30-minute mark, and I didn't think that this video would be long, but I'm gonna try to move as fast as I can. But with knowing me, I probably won't. This is Discovering 10 o'clock. So you're probably thinking, 10 o'clock? We all know what 10 o'clock is. But when I was little, I don't know how, and I don't know between what ages, but me and my little sister, we share a room. And at 8 o'clock on the dot, we are knocked out. I don't remember waking up at any point in the night until it was morning, where I start the day again, playing and whatnot. And this was, I think this was before kindergarten, I think. Or getting closer to the age of like, I'm about to go to kindergarten. But we would always sleep at 8 o'clock on the dot, 8 at night, wake up early in the morning to watch Baby Looney Tunes, get through our chaotic day of playing around, and then do it all over again. But there was one moment in time where I think our bedroom door was open, and I just remembered hearing chatter and laughter a little bit, and I thought, like, that's weird. Is it morning? And it stirred me out of my sleep, and I woke up and I was like, it's dark. It's still dark outside. I don't know what's happening. And then I saw there was light. The bedroom lights in my mother's room was still on, and I was like, huh? Are they not asleep? What's going on over here? So I walked my way over to my mom's room, and lo and behold, my mom and dad are still up, just chit-chatting with my sisters about something I have no idea, my older sisters. And I was just standing there by the doorway like, what? You guys aren't asleep? And they were like, no, it's 10 o'clock. It's still a little early. And I was like, huh? 10 o'clock? And then that's when the consistency of sleeping at 8 o'clock was gone. And 10 o'clock became the party. Okay. Now it's more like 10 o'clock is time to wind down. But I was shook. I was shook forever. I was like, 10 o'clock at night? That never existed in my world. But now it does. Okay, we're gonna go back to um disgusting. And I think this is gonna be like the last disgusting, like, ugh, God, kids type of thing. And that is dissecting insects. And I feel like every kid has done this, but we were very particular with with the way we did things, which is not that very intricate or particular, really, but it was just like, that's how we did it. Yeah. I I was gonna say, like, we should all come together and talk about what we, like, how we did that process, but that sounds really weird. So never mind. Okay, dissecting insects. This would happen mostly in the summertime because that's when the critters be coming out. And me and my sisters, bored, nothing to do, imagination, with a mission to get all the insects. We were like the insects of like we were like the ghostbusters of insects. That being like mosquitoes, flies, moths, those tiny little green well, actually, those tiny little green bugs are really tiny, so I don't think we really did anything with that. Ladybugs. Yeah, I think that was like the general what we did. So, yeah. Whenever there was an insect in the house, whether it was a fly, ladybug, or a moth, or I don't know. I want to say I feel like there was a time when we found like a grasshopper or a pill bug or something like that, or a cricket even. I don't know, but the specifics doesn't really matter. Either way, we would catch them, and then we would just, for some reason, I don't think it was like a holy ritual thing, but we had this lamp in our room, and it was one of those lamps that I feel like if you it almost looks exactly like those optical illusion lamps that you see on the internet, where you're either like, ooh, is this someone's butt crack and they're wearing like a thong, or is this like a wine glass? But then when you really look at it again, it's just a lamp. And we had that kind of lamp, and it was just like, facing up like that. It was like in this little wide dish situation. The lamp light was like shining above, long lamp stem stick situation. And yeah, the only time we would turn on that lamp is at night because we do not sleep in the dark, and anyone who does, you're crazy. But yeah, so every time when we catch an insect, we would just be like, okay, is it dead for sure? Great. Is it mostly still intact? Like, we do not accept insect bodies that are completely like not intact. Like, we need them to still be in one piece, in one body still. Just, just unalived. And then we would throw it in the lamp shade thingy, almost like, throw it in the pit. So yeah, that's what we would do. And then one day, dun dun dun, we were messing around in our room and we accidentally bumped the lamp, and it got knocked over, fell, and then a bunch of crispy dry insects just fell onto the bed, I think. And then I forget what happened. I think one of my sisters were like, oh my beeping god, what in the world is that? And we were like, oh, when we were little, we used to do this. And we totally forgot that, well, we were still little, but we totally forgot that we had this phase where this is what we did. And they were like, that's so beeping disgusting. And then the lamp was broken after that. The lampshade didn't shatter, but that lamp was long ago old, so her time has come to an end. So we eventually threw her out. And the insects that were in it, the crispy skeletons of the insects. And then there was another time when me and my sister, well, there's two parts to this, but there was another time where we were going through this phase of, especially in the summertime, when we were catching mosquitoes and we were saving, I don't know what we were saving their bodies for, but we had this toy and it was like a doctor suitcase situation where it has like all the doctor materials and stuff. And we took a plastic sandwich bag and we decided that we're going to collect mosquitoes. They're not going to be alive. So every time we would like get a mosquito that's like, oh, we see it flying, we could smack it in between our hands, still in one piece, great. Get the doctor toy tweezers. We're going to peel it off. We're going to just drop it in the plastic sandwich bag and we're going to put it away in our little doctor toy suitcase situation. And that's what we did. And I feel like, if I can remember right, we had about like 5 or 6. That was a very short phase that we went through. We did not carry doctor suitcase around all the time. It was a very short live through phase. Yeah. Hold on, everybody. We have the doorbell rang. We are back. I'm tired. I was running up and downstairs. The mailman came. Things were delivered. Okay, where was I? Dissecting insects. Mosquitoes. I think. Yes, we were done that story. The next thing about the insects was, and this is the last time that we did this, and the, not the final story because we have like a bunch of this to go through. Me and my baby sister, we caught a fly, in the heat of the summer, in the dog days, that is August. And we, for some reason, were going through a random phase, but this was the last time we did it because we were like, oopsie. We would like to catch flies and like, we didn't know that we were like kind of stunning them from like, oh my god, okay, I need to like walk around for a bit. I can't fly right now. I need to like catch my breath. Like when it's time, I will take lift off again. And we did that to this one fly. And to make them not fly again and to just have them walk around and we would just watch it walk around with its broken wing. We would like try to hold the fly down and we would rip one wing off of the fly. So now it can't fly because it has only one wing. That's what we would try to do. This fly, I don't know why, and I don't really remember specifically what we were trying to do. I can't remember if we were trying to rip the wings off or if we were trying to attach the wings back on. But either way, we were trying to hold the fly down. And I think before we would just use something light like a piece of paper or a napkin or I think even our hands. But this one time we had a textbook near us. Why do we have a textbook? I don't know. A textbook that was borrowed from school or given to us from someone for some random reason. I don't know. We took this textbook and we put it on top of the fly, thinking this textbook will hold the fly down. We can either, I don't know what we were doing, reattach or detach the fly's wing. Once we lifted the book off, you already know, that fly, dead. And we were like, oh, that was a mistake. Why did we do that? Cleaned up the situation. Wasn't that much of a mess, but also very disappointed in ourselves for the lack of, thought. And that was the last insect situation, encounter, dissecting, playing around with that we ever did. R.I.P. to that fly. We meant no harm. No free feet. Oh goodness. I don't know if I want to talk about this. We're already at 40 minutes. I'm trying to keep it under 50. I really am. Okay, this one's called Funky Feet in Cheetah Print Clog Shoes. I had these clog shoes. They were cheetah print. I loved them so much. And when I was a kid, surprisingly, I was outgoing. I You will catch me on my porch just walking back and forth, going up and down the little stoop, playing with my sisters, in and out the house, going from the backyard to the front of the house. I I was out there. I was wild with my me and my cheetah print clogs. And one thing about clogs is that your heel may be out, but your toes are not. And my toes, and especially in the summer, and especially in the clog shoes, oh boy, were they sweaty and were they funky. And for some strange reason, every time when I took off my shoes and I was like, done playing around and walking around for the day, um, I would smell my feet because the smell was just so, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like called something when there's like a specific smell that like I will start to get almost addicted to. Not addicted like an addict, but just like it smells like just a whiff or two or three, and I am like, woo, oh my gosh, that hits the spot, that tickles my brain. It does not physically tickle my brain, but that is just that's it's just like I'm complete, I'm whole. This is it, this is life. And for me, that was my funky feet smell. Do I have that smell? No. Something about, I don't know. It I can't describe it. It was long ago. But that smell I have not smelled anymore. Not to say that I don't have smelly feet. There are times when things smell, but that my feet particularly does not smell like how it did back then, because oh my god, I would not be doing this. I would be spending the rest of my days just smelling my feet constantly. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm really exposing myself. I'm really bearing my soul on here. But as a child, that is something that I would stop in my tracks, sit on the living room floor, and just whip up my foot and put it in my face, and just be like, yes, yes, this is the smell. This is it. And that story, and I'm not talking about it anymore. Okay, moving on. This one has nothing to do with me, but what I witnessed, and that is the birth of a miracle. And that is our first pets that we ever had, and that was goldfishes. And I don't know when we got the goldfish, but I just remember always having a goldfish tank when growing up, and we had goldfishes in them. The goldfishes got pretty big. Like, you think your goldfish is like that small. Our goldfish grew to like maybe this big, maybe like the size of my palm or hand. And we had a lot of goldfish. I don't know how many. I want to say maybe 6, maybe 7. But we had a big tank too. It was like bigger than this whiteboard, and maybe a little more. One of the fishes was bleeding. Trigger warning. One of the fishes was bleeding. I don't know if it was a boy or girl. They all honestly looked the same. But they were bleeding towards the end of the base of their body, not particularly the tail, because that tail is thin. But that's what happened. She was bleeding, and we were like, oh my god, she's giving birth. That's what me and my sister assumed. Did I witness a fish come out? I don't remember. I just remember it was bleeding a little. It wasn't bleeding to the point where like the whole tank and the water was tainted, but we were like, oh my god, something's going on. She must be giving birth, because it's definitely not poop. So that's that story. I remember that. I was like, oh my god, this is my first time witnessing such nature in action. So period there. I'm gonna close this because this is dry now. The next is botany in the schoolyard. Not only were we dissecting insects, but when we were in elementary school, we were doing botany. And we were not doing botany because the school did not have any botany. It was the schoolyard. And the schoolyard was not all grass. There was no grass in sight. The only plant that we had were the weeds that were growing in between the concrete cracks and squares of the schoolyard. And when we were bored, especially in the mornings, because me and my little sister, we were in separate classes. So we didn't have class together, so we didn't have lunch together sometimes, and we didn't have recess together sometimes. But what we did have together was the morning. And in the morning, we would wait for the teachers to come and make us line up. But during that time, we would go around, pick weeds, and go to a specific spot in the school. And we would, I think it was a hole or a little bit of a marsh situation, little corner of nature that it had. And it was very, very, very small. So we would pick. And then we would go to that little marsh area, moss looking area that was still living in the school grounds. And we would just get our pens or pencil or whatever utensil that was laying on the floor, besides the needles and lighters, because we live in the urban city of Philadelphia. And we would just mush, and mash and mix until we would get green paint into that specific area. And I think we would pretend it was literal green paint, but we didn't have any brushes. So we would just be making paint, and we kind of forgot about it. And then eventually later throughout the year, when the summertime is coming in and springtime is towards the end of the school year, I don't think we really paid attention or had the intention to grow a plant in that area, but a plant did grow. Was a weed? Yes. Was it a dandelion? Yes. So botany at its finest. Oh my god, I need to hold this. Okay, the next one is sci-fi TV programs, which you might think is very strange, but that was my childhood. My childhood was either Sprouts, the Sprouts channel, Noggin, if you will, Nick Jr., or it was sci-fi, or it was Maury, or it was Jerry Springer's, or it was the Bernie Mac show. But for the early part of my childhood, it was Nick Jr. or Sci-Fi, or the Sci-Fi channel. And the two specific things that I remember from the Sci-Fi channel was this one documentary show that they had. I think it was on Sci-Fi. I can't remember if it was on Sci-Fi or TLC, but I feel like it was definitely on Sci-Fi. We are definitely going to go over a little bit of the 50-minute mark, but this is my childhood, and I'm Karen, and I'm sorry. One of the TV programs was this documentary series situation, and it was, I forgot the name of it, but it was basically following the life and the people of the labor ward in the hospitals. And they would follow the journey of a mother to be in the process of her being admitted, and her labor situation, and everything was just real and raw, and it wasn't showing the actual birthing of her, but definitely a side profile of the husband standing next to her, the doctors all around her feet area, and the mother just screaming and pushing. And watching this as a child, it was very interesting to me. I wasn't really necessarily scared, but I was just dang, this is really crazy and intricate, and wow, and must be really, really painful, because screaming and crying and sweating and whatnot, and then in the end you get a little baby. And that for me was my first ever reason to be no, I don't know if I want kids. I don't know if I can do it. And then what really solidified it for me was just when I was young, I babysat a lot. So the constant crying, the sound of little children, little babies crying, really annoyed me. And I was a kid too. So that really solidified it for me, and I was like, I can't do babies. They cry too much. I cannot do it. Now I'm like sad crying because the world is ending. Um yeah, a moment of silence. um so there was that, and then there was another one, and it was kind of important because it was my first time speaking another language on my own without having anyone to translate in between. But for those of you who know, and for those of you who don't know, I am mixed. And I am mixed with mostly, majority, and broadly black and Asian. The Asian part, she is Vietnamese, if you will. And we didn't go to like a language school on the side to properly learn my mother's language, my parents' language, really. So it was kind of just like jump on that train and you better hope you get it right. It's a learning process. It will get drilled into us at some point. And one time, I don't know where it came from, or I don't know where, or the miracles of, the human body. But I was watching a show. I don't know if I think it was a movie on Sci-Fi, and I just remember a crocodile wreaking havoc on a carnival territory. I don't know if this was Crocodile Dundee or whatnot, but it was a very old movie, and this crocodile was just biting people and attacking people at the carnival, and people were like going crazy, and they were like, oh my god, everybody get out the way, it's a crocodile. And my great grandma and my mom were also in the room, and they were also watching, and I forget what I said, but I just remember speaking Vietnamese to my mother and telling her like, oh my god, like it's a monster, because I didn't know how to say crocodile, and I still don't, but that's okay. And I was like, oh my god, it's a monster and it's like biting people. And she was like, yeah. And then I remember like going back to the television just watching, but I remember hearing her speak and say to my grandmother like, oh my god, like she's speaking in Vietnamese. And then when I heard that, in my head I was like, oh my god, I just spoke in another language and my mom understood me and I understood her. Oh my goodness. So really shocked. That is my memory, and that is my first and only memory of me uttering those like really just being like, and all of a sudden I downloaded this language and I'm speaking it and I am understanding it, sort of, kind of, not really, but we will learn and grow along the way. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. Almost there, people. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more stories to go. Hang on. Okay, so the next one is beach trip reverse throw up. And this sounds kind of disgusting, but it's not that bad because basically I'm trying to go as fast as I can because I really, 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 really don't want to go over an hour. So I have 7 minutes. So what happened was we were going on a family trip to the beach, and I, as a young child, really had bad car sickness, and I still do sometimes. Don't judge me. So when we got to finally the beach destination, I was doing so well. I was holding it in. I was, closing my eyes, trying to remain calm, trying to relax. And then by the time we finally made it to the parking spot and got out of the car to get to the beach, it was thinking back at it, I was kind of like, why didn't I just throw up outside of the car? When we got out of the car, I ran back inside the car to throw up in my seat. Which now, thinking back, is kind of like, why would you do that? Because you could have thrown up outside. There's no need to clean up throw up in the car now. And also, you don't have to sit on your throw up on the way back home. But that's what happened. So that's that childhood story. It's It's not that bad. It's not a bad memory to me. It was kind of just like a, girl, why'd you do that? Like, silly move. But it's whatever. It's funny to think about it now. Um, Late night company in the kitchen is the next story. And this one's pretty like short, but it was like a consistent thing that I noticed was happening and was definitely a part of my childhood and was just like, it was like a thing for, it was like a little moment, a little time for just me and my great grandma. And that was when, so we share the same bedroom. So it was my great grandma, me, and my little sister. And at this point now, I'm getting to the point where like I will wake up in the middle of the night, and I don't know why. For the it was like a good while. It was like a good era, if you will. I would wake up and then I'd look over and my grandma was not in her bed. And I'd be like, where is she? So then I would go, and most of the time you'll find her in the kitchen cleaning up. I don't know why. This lady, she will not, she will not give up. So found her in the kitchen, cleaning, sweeping, cleaning up the fridge, cleaning up the counter, wiping down, just constantly wiping down. And I was like, Grandma, and we would just, she would be like, yeah, I'm coming, I will be up soon. And then I would just be there with my blankie and just covering myself with it, and it's like in the middle of the night, so it's a little bit colder, and I'm just like waiting for her to come upstairs because I won't go back upstairs until she is literally coming back upstairs. And I would take a little stool and I would place it in the middle of the kitchen floor, and I would just sit there facing the stove slash oven, and I would just be like so sleepy and just like trying to like sway myself to like stay awake so that way I can see if she's like getting ready to like pack up and go back to sleep. And I don't know how long it would be, but if it would feel like an hour, and I would like ask her constantly like, when are you going back upstairs? It's time to go to bed, please. And eventually she'll be done and we'll go back upstairs to bed together. And that's that story. Good times. Good times. That lady is always cleaning. 3 more stories left to go. Yay! First day of real school, aka elementary. Now this is a memory that I low-key, conspiracy theory part, still think I'm living in a dream. In another world, in the matrix of a parallel universe. The first day of elementary school, like, kindergarten was like fun for me. That was not school. That was just all fun. Elementary school sounded serious. It sounded like, I don't know, a whole different world. It sounded grown up. And me and my little sister, we were like, oh my God, the first day of school, we're so scared and nervous. And, hopefully, things will be fine and people will be nice and we'll make lots of friends and whatnot. I don't know, hormones, thoughts, reality, television, I don't know. And I don't know about my little sister, but I remember not being able to sleep because I was just so nervous about the first day of school, which was like the next day. And I don't think I went to sleep. I think I was just laying in bed, just like, oh my God, tossing and turning, looking out the window and just waiting for the time to come. And I remember just like already being awake, and then my sisters, my older sisters coming into our room because all of our clothes and closets were in our room. And they would come in, open their closet door, pick out their clothes and stuff for the day of school. And I was already awake. They were like, oh, you're already awake? And I was like, yeah, I couldn't go to sleep because I'm nervous. Or I'm scared, or I don't know, I just couldn't go to sleep. And they were like, oh, you'll be okay. And every time when I think back to it, I'm just like, I don't think I slept, and I think this is all a dream. Like, I really don't remember. This is going to be the last story because I really don't want this to be an hour. So I'm sorry. The other two stories, it's okay. We'll add that in for the next episode before we move on to the next topic. Yeah, I'm wasting my time. So I feel like I don't remember going to sleep, but what if I am still sleeping and this life that I'm living right now is all a dream? That's like the weird, like warpy part of it. So it's either I never went to sleep or I did go to sleep, but I dreamed that I never went to sleep and then I continued on with life and this is all still a dream. You know? Now, wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be cool? Now, wouldn't that be an exception? You know what I'm saying? Okay, that is it. That is all. That is my childhood stories. The other two, we will try to remember for next time when I talk about something random. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys relate to it if you have any memory or recollection of your childhood. And yeah, I hope you guys had a great week. If you didn't, then I hope you have a great weekend. And yeah, I'm gonna go now because it is officially past over an hour and I'm so sorry, but I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Sorry for the disgusting parts. I was a kid. What can you do? Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye.